I just want to know
If you get anything out of me at
if I can
all,
get anything on tape. Yep. I just want to have you on tape. Have you telling me stories about, I don't know, your childhood. Any stories you remember?
should I tell you when I first met your dad?
Met
Your granddad?
Yeah, tell me that.
Well, I was 6 and he was, what was he? In Clawson, Utah. He was in the 6th grade and I was in the first. And we didn't pay much attention to each other at all. Then he, uh, but then when we came to St. George, why, Granny came to see me when I was sick. Was still in bed from that pneumonia stuff. And Larkin was her apple of her eye, and she kept telling me all kinds of stories about Larkin before I ever really met him. And because I didn't remember meeting him when I was up there, when I was in the 1st grade and he was in the 6th. And or wasn't it maybe that, but maybe I'm stretching that. But anyway, she sat by my bed and told me all these stories about how neat Larkin was. She knew what she was doing. She was setting me up, and I loved her. She was my mother-in-law, but we were always such friends. And I mean, later she was my mother-in-law, but she told me so much about Larkin that I kind of fell for him before I ever saw him, you know. And then we sat there in the rain that one night, all night long. It was raining too bad for me to go home. See, we were next door neighbors, you know. And we just sat there on that old trunk, and that, I guess, had an effect on me. I don't know, but anyhow, I decided that I better send him on his way, 'cause not waste his time, you know. And he was pretty upset. But we hadn't made any promises or anything, but you know. And then he left and came down to went in the Air Corps and worked for a year or so, and then in the build those great big ships, those big ships, you know. And but of course that's after I'd married him. But while he was doing all that, I was recuperating. I'd sleep. He'd sleep was it in the daytime then? Yeah, and I'd sleep with him, and then I'd sleep all night too. And I got well. I got better. Come out of it. But it was a year after that I got Baydon. He was the cutest baby you ever saw in your life. He was just really special. And I know the kids would come home from the war, and I'd pose with them, and they'd hold Baydon, so they'd go tell everybody that Baydon was their baby, their baby. And but Lark and I when we got married, we went down to, I was gonna say San Diego, but it wasn't San Diego. To California, and then he built all those big ships, and his brothers he had his. I wish you can't take pictures of the pictures, can you?
Mm-hmm.
Let me go get it. Huge ships, and oh my gosh, I got how many did I get? Which one's the best? Pick one out that'll take a good picture. While he was building those big ships and big airplanes, why, his three brothers, were in the service. And boy, they went to hell and back. And his sister. And this Earl, his whole squadron, his whole outfit got wiped out, but him and one other. Just two of them. There was a book about him. And I don't know, it disappeared out of my cupboard, but they went through so much that poor Granny, she couldn't take any more, and they wouldn't take Lark. I was afraid he'd always go and leave me with 2 or 3 babies like I got, and but they'd never taken him because of his brothers and sister. Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, I wish I had a picture. I got pictures in the war book about the big ships he made. I know we took Baydon, and he was a pretty little old guy, and he had to carry him clear up above his head to keep him from getting just swept in the mob. When they'd launch those big ships, they'd have hundreds of, I guess, thousands of people there, and he had a heck of a time of getting Baydon home alive. We never did go to another one after that. I think that's the one I need to keep because of the big replay. I could take one of these others if you want to take it.
All right. Take that off.
Take one of these.
Okay.
Which one do you want?
That looks good.
Okay. But he always took such good care of me. I mean, he knew I was not doing too well, and we lived in that big, I told you about that big house at Brigham Young's that, that we lived in. And Brigham Young's, it's not there now, they tore it down, but the reason I got TB and asthma and all that was because we lived in that Brigham Young's big old house, and they had those big blocks of walls, I don't know, real thick walls. And I had my tonsils out, and then I caught pneumonia, and they couldn't hear me cough. They didn't know I was having such a time. So I was about dead before we got out of there. And that's when we moved over by Lark's mother's house, where we were neighbors. But what was I going to tell you? You better let me go to sleep.
Yeah, you better go to bed, Grandma. Maybe,
But,
maybe we'll both be a little bit more awake tomorrow.
yeah,
You can talk.
but if there's, Lark sure took care of me till, got me well again. And they didn't take him in the war because, these kids, and two, we had all those babies and 3 babies, and I don't know what I'd have done if they'd have drafted him. I've never made it, but he brought me out of it. He made me well again. He worked in the defense and was come home awfully late, you know, but he still did everything for me. So I got well.
Well, we better go to bed.
Yeah,
It's getting late.
yeah, I think so. I think you're not going to get much out of this. But this was quite a wild day.